Here's the finished script, 897 words. In 2001, Congress buried a single provision inside a 400-page tax law, a clause that let one person become both the employer and the employee inside their own retirement account, doubling what they could legally save every single year. No press release, no headline, no mention on the evening news, and for the better part of a decade, almost no one who could have used it ever heard it existed. Here's the setting. June 2001. Washington, D.C. A massive tax reform bill lands on the president's desk, thousands of provisions deep, most of them written for corporations with payroll departments and benefits teams to decode them. Buried somewhere in that stack sat a rule meant for nobody in particular: freelancers, consultants, one-person LLCs, the kind of worker with no company behind them and no one to negotiate a plan on their behalf. Before this, their only real option was a SEP IRA. Lower limits, simpler, forgettable. What the new rule allowed shouldn't have been possible under the old logic of retirement law. A 401(k) had always assumed two sides: an employer contributing on one end, an employee contributing on the other, with staff and paperwork in between. This provision let a single person occupy both chairs at once. Contribute as the employee, contribute again as the employer. Stack both halves into one account under one name, with combined room that could exceed $60,000 a year for someone with no staff at all. A solo operator working from a kitchen table suddenly had access to the same retirement architecture as a Fortune 500 executive. On paper, it took effect within months. In practice, almost nobody could use it because almost nobody built the paperwork to let them. The official explanation was simple oversight. Regulators called it a technical fix, a cleanup provision meant to simplify existing law, nothing more. But watch what happened next. The rule took effect in 2002. The major brokerage houses, the names everyone already trusted with an IRA, didn't roll out a usable solo 401(k) product for years afterward. If this was just a housekeeping fix, why did the institutions best positioned to offer it stay silent the longest? Now here's the detail that doesn't show up in the press coverage from that era. Internal industry commentary from the mid-2000s, later cited in benefits trade publications, put it bluntly: a solo 401(k) was harder to bill for than a SEP IRA, and it came with none of the ongoing fee structure insurers and brokerages had spent decades building around retirement products. A SEP IRA could be sold, wrapped in a managed account, layered with advisory fees that quietly compounded year after year, invisible unless you went looking for the fine print. A solo 401(k), built correctly, didn't need a manager standing between the saver and the money at all. One tax attorney would later describe the early solo 401(k) years as the plan the industry knew about and didn't sell. And here's what makes it almost impossible to explain away as coincidence. The IRS itself allowed self-trustee versions of these plans, letting the account holder control the funds directly. No institution required, no custodian skimming a percentage off the top every quarter. That single detail was the one requirement nobody in the financial industry ever advertised, and it was the one number that stayed buried the longest. How many billions of dollars in advisory fees a fully self-trusteed solo 401(k) quietly removed from the table, year after year, for anyone who happened to find the paperwork. Remember the 400 pages this rule was hiding inside. Somewhere in that stack sat a provision that could hand a single freelancer $60,000 of tax-sheltered room a year, and the institutions built to help people save for retirement had every financial incentive to let that page stay unread. So think about who benefited from the silence. Every year the rule went unmentioned. Another cohort of solo earners defaulted into a SEP IRA instead, into a managed IRA instead, into products that paid someone a commission along the way, quarter after quarter, without a single one of them ever being told a cheaper, more powerful option had been sitting in the tax code the entire time. The provision itself never changed. What changed slowly was who found out. Early adopters trading tips in obscure forums years before a single brokerage ad mentioned the words Solo 401k out loud, passing the knowledge hand to hand like something they weren't supposed to have. By the time the big firms finally built the product and started marketing it, the first wave of savers who'd found it early had already compounded a decade's head start no one told them they were entitled to. That's the part buried in 2001. Not a secret clause exactly, just a rule the people who profit from your ignorance had every reason to never say out loud. The clause is still sitting in the tax code today, unchanged, open to anyone who qualifies. So ask yourself this: if the rule has been legal and available this entire time, and the only real cost was one industry's silence, how much of what still sits between you and your own money right now is a law, and how much of it is just nobody telling you the truth?